Have you ever felt like your brain is brilliant in some areas, but hits an invisible wall in others? Imagine writing a beautiful essay with ease, but feeling lost when splitting a dinner bill. Or being able to picture complex 3D shapes perfectly, yet struggling to read a short paragraph without stumbling. Most people think dyslexia, reading challenges, and dyscalculia, math challenges, are completely separate. But here's the surprising truth. Research shows they can be deeply connected, creating a unique set of strengths and struggles. In this video, you'll learn what dyslexia and dyscalculia really are, the surprising science connecting them, strategies that help with both, and a question about your own brain that might change how you see yourself forever. But first, here's something you might not expect. The reason they often occur together has less to do with reading or math and more to do with something hidden in your brain's core operating system. I'll explain exactly what that is in just a few minutes. When you face a challenge, do you instantly try to solve it, or do you pause to understand why it's difficult? People who pause to understand often find better strategies because they uncover the root cause instead of just fighting symptoms. Section 1. Understanding dyslexia. Let's start with dyslexia. Many still believe it's just about seeing letters backwards. That's a myth. Dyslexia is recognized by researchers as a neurodevelopmental learning difference that primarily affects reading and spelling, not intelligence and not eyesight. The main challenge is often phonological processing, connecting letters to sounds. Imagine your brain is a high-powered computer, but its language software is set up differently from most people's. Reading new words isn't automatic, it's effortful, like solving a puzzle every time. This can make reading slower and more mentally draining, which affects comprehension simply because so much energy is spent decoding the words themselves. In school, it might appear as difficulty with note-taking, slower writing, or less confidence in reading aloud. But here's where it gets interesting. The same mental processes that make reading hard can also influence other skills you wouldn't expect. In a few minutes, I'll tell you how this connects to math struggles and why some people have both without realizing it. Do you think your brain learns better through pictures, sounds, or movement? Most people have a dominant style. Recognizing it can help you match learning methods to your brain's strengths. Section 2. Understanding dyscalculia. Now, let's talk about dyscalculia, sometimes nicknamed math dyslexia, but that's an oversimplification. Dyscalculia is a learning difference that affects number sense, your ability to intuitively understand quantities and numerical relationships. If dyslexia is like reading a blurry page, dyscalculia is like trying to grab a number line made of mist. Numbers don't feel solid. You might struggle to connect the digit 7 to the word 7 or to a group of 7 objects. Everyday life can get tricky. Reading an analog clock, remembering multiplication facts, estimating distances, or calculating change at a store. It's not about intelligence, it's about how the brain processes numerical information. But here's the twist. Dyslexia and dyscalculia may look different, but research shows they can share underlying brain processing challenges. And that's where the real connection begins. When you get a wrong answer in math, do you feel it's because you don't get it, or because you missed one small step? Often, a single small step, like misreading a number, can change everything. It's rarely about overall ability. Section 3. The scientific connection. Here's where the mystery unravels. Studies suggest that anywhere from 17% to 70% of people with dyslexia also experience dyscalculia. Not because one causes the other, but because both can be influenced by shared genetic factors and overlapping brain processes. One big factor? Working memory, your brain's mental sticky note. Whether you're trying to keep track of characters in a novel or steps in a math equation, if working memory is limited or processing speed is slower, both tasks become harder. Think of it like a computer with less RAM. Whether you run a word processor or a spreadsheet, the system lags. That's why a math problem with a paragraph of text can be a double challenge. The reading and the math load the same mental resources. And here's something you might not have realized. Improving certain mental skills can boost both reading and math performance. I'll share exactly how in a few minutes. When you're overwhelmed, do you focus harder or take a break? Taking a short break often resets working memory, making it easier to return with clarity. Section 4. Living with the dynamic duo. When dyslexia and dyscalculia show up together, it's not just two problems, they can amplify each other. The perfect example? Math word problems. First, you have to decode and understand the text, then translate it into numbers, all while holding multiple steps in memory. Outside school, this can affect daily life, budgeting, reading instructions, following schedules, or even learning a game with complex rules. The mental load is constant, even if it's invisible to others. But here's the empowering part. When you understand why these challenges happen, you can build strategies that work with your brain, not against it. In the next section, I'll reveal methods that support both reading and math, and they might surprise you. Do you believe your struggles define your intelligence? They don't. Intelligence is multidimensional. Skills in one area can be completely independent from challenges in another. Section 5. Strategies for success. Support needs to be integrated, helping both reading and number skills while reducing working memory strain. For dyslexia, research-supported multisensory literacy methods, sight, sound, touch, text-to-speech tools, and audiobooks to conserve mental energy. For dyscalculia, visual and physical tools, blocks, number lines, to make numbers tangible, breaking tasks into smaller, sequenced steps. Allowing calculators for complex problems so focus stays on concepts, not arithmetic. For both, checklists, visual organizers, and extra time to reduce working memory overload. Emotional support and self-advocacy skills so learners can request what they need without shame. And remember that building confidence is just as important as building skills. When you succeed at something difficult, do you credit luck or your own effort? Effort builds mastery. Recognizing your own role in success reinforces resilience. Dyslexia and dyscalculia aren't isolated islands. They can be connected by shared brain functions and genetic influences. This connection can bring challenges, yes, but also unique perspectives and problem-solving strengths. If you've experienced either or both, your insights matter. Share them in the comments. You never know whose life you might touch. And if this gave you clarity or encouragement, consider subscribing so we can keep exploring how different brains work. Remember, these aren't deficits. They're differences. And understanding them is the first step to turning them into strengths.